Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, Earthlings on YouTube. Hello, good evening. Hope everybody is okay. Hope everybody is drinking lots of water and staying hydrated. It's been hot, age, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's been really hot. Good evening. How you doing?
Hot, man. I went for a nice ride today. Looks like I've got a little tan again, added to my already tan. Yeah.
It rained all day yesterday for me, so it's been
It did as well for
bit
me, yeah.
cooler. Yeah, it's been good.
Hello to everybody in the chat. Let's do the evening register. And the way we do the register is if bash the like button and put one in the chat, and I'll give you a shout. Yes, I already see some ones. Age case with the first one. In the media. Hello, mate.
Hello.
Yes, Batman. Agent X, the one and only.
No.
Sean E, respect. Token Explorers, Mickey Mouse in the house, a legend. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's okay. So, what are we discussing today, Age?
Asylum and refugees, immigration.
Asylum and refugees.
I suppose I was just saying a minute ago, we're all like immigrants in at one point, whether it's 1 or 10 generations. You know what I mean?
If people don't know the definition of asylum and refugee,
In the UK, anyway.
I'll give the definition of asylum, and Age Case can give the meaning of refugee. So asylum is a asylum seeker is a person who leaves their country of residence, enters another country, and applies for asylum in that other country. An asylum seeker is an immigrant who has been forcibly displaced and might have fled their home country because of war or factors harming them or their families. What about asylum seeker? Not asylum, refugees, Age. What's a refugee?
Refugees is well. I'd say they escape their country because of probably a war. Like look at the Fugees, as in the singers or the rap group from the 90s. They all escaped from Haiti and what was the other one? There was a couple. I forget where they're all from now, but they were called refugees. I don't know then. What's the difference between refugee and asylum?
Well, asylum seeker is an immigrant looking for asylum once they've been accepted. They're refugees.
Ah, yeah.
Um,
I'll share a quick image with you. Quick,
yeah.
a little. I'll get it up. Quick. A little side story. Yeah. You got that? This is the man who lived in he was stuck in an airport for 18 years. Miran Karami Nasser, born in 1946. He was an Iranian refugee who lived in the departure lounge of Terminal 1 in Charles de Gaulle Airport in France from 1988 until 2006. And then that's what inspired the book, and then the film. I think Tom Hanks was in it, wasn't
The Terminal, yeah.
he? Yeah. So it's actually a true story. He proper like lived.
For 18 years, he lived in an airport.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever watched the film? It's quite a funny film. Like he starts plastering and
Yeah.
doing building work. I think he's a joiner and starts getting employed. I think. Yeah, it's a good one. That was just a little side story there.
So what happened to him? What he had to
He
stay
was
in
trying to
the
get to the UK, and because he escaped from Iran, I think he offended the government or something. I can't quite remember. And he only tried to get to the UK, and he got stuck in the airport, and they took his passport or something like that. And yeah, mad, eh?
Wow. Yeah, that's what happens when you're a refugee. They take your passport while you're living in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, why do they do that though? To make sure you don't leave.
I don't know. I don't know, actually. Maybe you could try and get a job or credit, or I don't know. Why they take your passport? It's weird. Sort of stop you from going anywhere, I suppose.
In 2021, here in the UK, 42% of applicants were nationals of Middle Eastern countries, and 23% of them were nationals of African countries. This pattern shifted in 2022, with the largest nationality group being Asian countries, 31% of applicants, and European countries, 24% were applicants. Asylum seekers made up around 6% of immigrants to the UK in 2019. Wow.
Oh,
That's not a lot if you actually think about it. Out of 100%, only 6%. But that's just the legal way of immigration, not the illegal way.
There's like a little map of where they're sort of all coming from and where they go. You can see that. Can you see that? A lot of them come up through Morocco, just the little Spanish enclaves, like Melilla. And then you get a lot of them come up from Syria through to Italy, but the Italian border, they're like blocking them now. Same with Greece as well. The Greek, I think, I can't remember the number now. It's like 86 or something died the other day because of the Greek police. got left and
Oh,
stranded out in the
what?
sea, and then a lot of going through Turkey as well. Must be a tough ordeal, you know what I mean?
In 2022, two new routes were introduced for Ukraine. Around 154,500 had arrived under those new schemes into the UK.
Oh, from
154,500
from
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
Yeah,
I do. I do kind of notice a lot of Ukrainians around lately, actually.
yeah.
So I can hear them speaking, like, and they're probably not Russian. And they're all women as well, with their kids and that. You can see that there won't be any men, would there? They're all on the front line. There's a house on my street, and I swear it's used for like asylum seekers, because there was a family there um, that used to send their kids to my school. The girl was in my son's class, and they were from Syria when it was going on. Oh God, it must have been 10 years ago now. And then another family moved in, like an African family. So I don't know.
Yeah. Why would people seek asylum and refuge in another country?
Loads of reasons.
What's the main reason? Or instead of you answering, let the chat answer that question. What's the main reason people flee their own country and seek asylum and refuge in other countries? Agent X says safety.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the best answer you could give, maybe. And even if it's like they're just moving because they want a bit of a better life, I don't know. There's a lot of Indians coming over, and they're not exactly like coming from being really poor, but they're just coming over because they want to have a good time and seek asylum over here, I suppose. But that still like comes under safety, innit? Like, they want a safer life, I suppose, and England offers that. Yeah, war, hunger, and I know in a lot of like West African refugees, they're escaping because they don't want to be Muslims, because that's kind of been forced on a lot of the men, or the whole area, the men and the women. That's one reason.
DeWitt, that's a very interesting comment that he put. Let's read that out. Most refugees can't work, cannot choose where they live, and relying on government cash grants, equivalent to £5.84 per day for food, sanitization, and clothing. Actually, you're wrong, DeWitt. It's not £5.84. It's, I got it here somewhere. It's £6 43 a day to live on. Most people, almost all people seeking asylum are not allowed to work and are forced to rely on state support. This is as little as £6.43 a day to live on. £6.43 a day. That's for each asylum seeker. So 154,500 times by £6.43. That comes to about 100,000, 600, about £1,000,000. How much is that from a
I mean, per day, I think it's between £6 and £8 million per day to house all these asylum seekers. I couldn't give the exact figure. It probably changes and going up all the time, but it's between 6 and 8 million.
a lot of these refugees, when they seek asylum, they like to stay in that country that they've arrived at, and they'll like to settle in that country, and then maybe and eventually, once they are allowed to work, become a taxpayer and contribute to infrastructure and healthcare, and all of that stuff. And yeah, it will have a lot of benefits for the economy if there were taxpayers.
I don't know. It's a tough one, man. It's a really tough one. But like, okay, some of the negatives or the things that I don't like about it is the fact that I still see British people that on the streets. There's no like program or million per day for homeless people in the UK. That's all done by charities.
Well, this is us. Somebody was Nicholas was talking about this yesterday about the immigrants, illegal immigrants being held at the what is it, Southampton, South or some RAF base. Starts with S. Completely forgot. And he's not happy about that, obviously. Sorry, Age. One sec.
Well, let's just say they clear the backlog of all the immigrants that are seeking asylum here, and then they could use those hotel rooms and continue spending that amount of money on housing British people, I suppose. And they could, companies like Mears and Serco and Clear Springs, they can continue making a profit that they have been making. It's like a share of 8 million a day. I have to find it.
DeWitt says, when did they increase it increase it. Supposed they had to really give an inflation on food, etc. I'm not too sure, but that's how much it says. £6.43. I don't know if it was £5.84, whatever he said.
Serco, Mears, and Clear Springs offered 10-year contracts at 5.6 million per day to be housed asylum seekers that can rise. 88% are denied asylum and are sent back to their countries, whilst 1% escape into the UK. Yeah. So yeah, even 88% of them are sent back. So that to me says it's just like it's like a business that the Conservatives and their friends have made. If they're sending 88% back, they're just housing these people at an expense and all making money.
Between 2014 and 2022, 54,000 people were resettled or relocated to the UK through various schemes. Between 2014 and 2020, 20,000 Syrians were resettled under the Vulnerable Persons Resettlement Scheme. Nearly 21,400 were from Afghanistan. So we go into their countries, bomb their countries to pieces, and now they have to relocate to countries, They've ended up at the country that bombed their home.
I suppose you could say karma's a bitch, really, isn't it? It's like, I don't know. We kind of went around the world and took a third of the world as our own, and then promised all these people that you can come back to the UK and be British, and then like I don't know, 5, 6, 7 generations later, we're all. This is what we have to sort of deal with what they did all these years ago. Unfortunately.
Indy, where's his comment? Says fleeing prosecution.
Most babies have no birth certificates. They are untraceable. Yeah. So I suppose they just become British citizens then, don't they? I don't know.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
You're still there.
So when you say routes and traffickers, what do you mean by traffickers?
Well, you have people that will get them over to certain places. They have, say for instance, they've come from, like, I don't know, they've come from Syria, and they'll go to a trafficker, and the trafficker will say, right, I want £3,000, and I'll get you over to Italy. So it'll take them a few months to save up, get £3,000, boom, they go over to Italy, and then they'll do the same at France. So there's all these traffickers that'll get them over. That's one thing.
Has anyone in the chat had to flee their main country and look for asylum and refuge in another country in the chat? Anyone experienced it? Do they want to jump on and tell their story of how they fled their country?
One of my mates is from Iraq. He's lived
Oh,
there.
yeah.
He's lived there 20 years now.
Wow.
I've known him just after school. I met him.
And why did he say he had to come here? Because of
Wow.
war.
Yeah.
Oh. Mickey Mouse says 10 million pounds per day is what the taxpayer have to pay.
It probably is around that figure. They were saying 6 or 7 or 8, but it probably is going on for 10 million now. Because I read the other day that in the last 2 days there's been over 1,000 coming just in the last 2 days.
If you actually think of it, 10 million pounds a day is how much to the taxpayer?
It's not really that much, really, but it's, you know, per year, there's so many things that are not working in society now that used to work. And there's a lot of, I don't know what you'd call them, bottlenecks. You know, doctors are full, roads are full. There's a lot of things that need sorting out. But then 10 million's not that much. Really.
Deborah says most babies have no birth certificates and they are untraceable.
Daniel Finch said, I got a spare room for a fit Ukrainian.
Hello, Daniel Finch. Big up Daniel Finch. He's been a subscriber forever.
Forever.
Yeah, since my first subscriber. Mickey Mouse, are my comments being missed? No, I'm just behind on the chat, and I got another device, and I see the comments that I like, so I'll quickly try and find it on the stream chat because I'm behind on it, and then I click on that, and then I just continue on the same screen, the StreamYard screen. So then, yeah, I'm still behind, but now I'm up to date, hopefully. Your shit, govs, and cartels. Exactly. You know, people moan about these issues. Maybe if there's any guys that want to come up and talk about their refuge and asylum seeking in this country or any other country, if they've had to go to any other country for asylum, to seek safety or whatever from war, or have their say about what they think of the system in this country with asylum seeking and refugees, and maybe the illegals as well.
I think there could be a better system put in place to help them more because they just seem to be like, I don't know, thrown in areas into hotels and have to wait us. But then you could say, well, how the fuck's that our problem? A lot of people don't want these issues in their areas. I don't know. It's a tough one. Depends where you live.
What does that mean? It depends where you live. Do you mean how
Well,
the
because
government running the country?
no, it's just I don't know. Certain areas there seems to be a lot of immigrants in certain areas. Like my town, there's none, but in Brighton and Eastbourne, there's loads because there's hotels there. I doubt they're housing them in rich areas.
I put the link in the chat if anyone wants to join. Before we touch on and get people involved with the problems with asylum and refuge, we can ask a panelist the problems with asylum and refuge. Yes.
I think the problems stem from like our government and past governments, the way they've invaded countries, taken resources, and then promised them they can, come to England and all that, and then I don't know. There's a number. There's so many like factors. There could be like a flood in one country, and a lot of them have got to come in. There could be a war in one country. There's so many things that could happen, and some of it we could have prevented or helped, but we don't.
We've got a guest at the back.
Oh yeah.
Let's let him on. Hello, Independent Free Press 1916.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hello. No sound again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Right, so when people are fleeing their country, right, from persecution and shit like that, war, they're meant to stop at the first country that's not involved, that's not fighting. Yeah, that's the way it works.
I mean, I've heard this argument. They don't have to stop at the first country. That's one of the things I've heard.
But no, they don't have to. They're meant to.
Or they're meant to stop where they want to feel
where they feel safe.
Safe, yeah. Blah blah blah.
And you know the reason why most of them head here is because the government big this place up and say it's the land of milk and honey, and you can come here and get opportunities. But what they don't seem to tell them is when they get here, if they do it illegally, they get stuck in a hotel, and a good percentage of them get fizzled out into detention centres or to other places and shit like that. It's costing the taxpayer loads of money every day, and I mean loads. Probably more than that 15 million that you was all about earlier on. You've got to remember that they're putting them up in hotels, they're feeding them, they're giving them water, clothing, allowances and shit like that, and it's costing the taxpayer in this country fucking billions. And I'm all for immigration, right? But go about it properly. Go to the Home Office and fill out the relevant paperwork and come in properly. Don't jump in a boat because there's a good chance you're going to die on the way across the fucking channel, and that ain't good. And the routes that they take, I wouldn't want to go across the busiest shipping lane in the world, 26 miles in a rubber craft when the waves are slapping. Would you?
Twice, some of them twice.
Yeah, would you?
They got to get over the Med as well.
Would you want to risk it? Would you want to risk going?
No, of course not.
I wouldn't. Mate, listen, I had a little slip up when I was younger. Yeah, I was living in Brighton. I got pissed one day on a dinghy. I closed my eyes for 10 minutes. I opened them again, and the shoreline was a dot. I had to get the lifeboat to come out and get me. It's just a good job I had my phone. I was pantsing it, mate. Pantsing it.
Yeah, it's not
nice.
I've been on a dinghy out there as well. It does drag you out.
Yeah, it's not nice, mate. It's not nice. And you're sitting there and you look at it and you think, man, are they going to find me? Because in that water, you're small.
You can't go anywhere. You're just there in a boat,
Yep. Well, you can, but it's going to be pretty useless, especially if the tide's taking you out.
Yeah. Age mentioned earlier that 80 people on a boat.
88.
88.
86. I'll have to look now. Greece.
I think the most I've
Where
seen
was it?
coming one day is 1,000, and that was all over YouTube and everything.
Yeah,
Was that
86.
the Albanians?
I don't know. It was either 1,000 or 800, but it was close to 1,000.
A lot of the Albanians that came here have been sent back already. This country and the Albanian government have some sort of treaty when it comes to immigration and illegals. So whoever came here from there has been sent back.
Well, and people were saying about Ukrainians. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. A lot of Ukrainian young females with children that have fled the country that have ended up over here. There's like right, the layout of where I live, don't you, local?
Yeah.
Right. So you know that road that usually come down from where Iceland is.
Okay.
A lot of single mother Ukrainian families have moved in down there in the last 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they all go for coffees at that Continental Cafe at the top of the road, and you can see them with their Slava Ukraine badges on the back of their phones and shit.
Yeah.
But how does it work? Do they just go to Czech Republic and get on a plane and fly to the UK? How is it allowed? That's what I don't get.
I haven't got a clue.
Surely you don't. Or there's like a certain amount every month. You can go to a place and they'll say, right, we're flying 1,000 out this month, and you register or whatever. I don't know how it works. Because I know that half of them went to Russia, and then a quarter of them are in Czech Republic, like the Ukrainians.
Mm.
And then the other quarter they've spread across Europe.
The main reason why only women and children
because all the men are on the front line
are coming, because the men are on front line, and if Russia win it, they'll be exterminated. Really, there'll be no more Ukraine. It'll be Russia.
I don't know, man.
Oh, we've spoken about.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm not going to this one.
Ukraine.
Loads of times.
That's another show, isn't it?
Exactly that. We won't get into that conflict.
We'll have to do it soon though. But...
Yeah.
One less race in the world.
When I started talking about it, I'd done a lot of research into it, a hell of a lot.
I'll tell you where there is a massive, like, a lot of asylum going through Mexico, all from like Venezuela and Colombia,
all South
all
America.
trying to get to America.
Yeah, because they think it's the land of milk and honey. Like I said, these countries like England and America, they big themselves up that much. People want to come there because they think, oh, we've got an opportunity there. Do you know what I mean? And they big it up so much. But what they don't tell them is when they come here, they're fucked usually because, excuse my French, but they are. They either get slung in a detention centre because they haven't got the relevant paperwork, or they get turned around at the border and said, no, go home. And then they have to find a guy that's going to get him across the border in some fucking dinghy that's probably got more holes in it than a tire, and they've got to risk their whole life to just to get there. And it's like, to me, it's stupid. I can understand the reasons why they do it, but why risk it all? Why risk it? You get slapped by a black caiman, anything in them waters down there. It's
Just
crazy.
say fuck it. Fuck it. It's just one life. Maybe there's an afterlife. Maybe not.
That's another show as well. Is there an afterlife?
That is true. We will speak about that. Yeah.
Well, you've got your. I won't say paranormal expert, but I've done a few ghost hunts and well, I didn't get scared.
We'll get some ghost hunters on as well.
Yeah,
that would be good for an afterlife show discussion.
An afterlife show.
But is that someone else?
That was probably me. That's the local gang. Hanging up. Well, anyway, I've come on and said my bit, boys. I'm going to go off and kill some people now on Call of Duty. So I'll have his on in the background. I've got two screens, so I think I'll perfect to say something. Cheers for having me on, lads.
Man.
Take it easy, man.
Thanks for jumping on.
That's all right, anytime. This is me, guys. Good night.
Say hello to Susie.
Echo chamber.
Yeah, mate. Right, see you later, lads.
See you later.
Be safe, man. So going back to the costs, well, before we say the cost, so what did Indy say? His problems with asylum and refuge.
Just the cost of, I suppose. And
the cost.
I mean, you know.
Well, luckily, we're not housing them in cages and treating them like animals. We should do though. We should do, innit? We should
shouldn't do that to any human, I suppose.
No, man, we should, man.
You're joking, innit? Yeah. I don't know.
Obviously, I'm joking. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to nobody. Nobody. No, I'm just taking the piss because some people, they're really deep into all of this stuff, you know. But there's the disclaimer. Remember the disclaimer, guys. We're all mad. Don't believe a word we say.
Don't believe the hype. Disclaimer. What else have we? There's so many things we could talk about. 3.7 billion taxpayers' money during lockdown.
Well, I didn't get that, Deborah Hart. 370 billion taxpayers' money during lockdown. Divide that by population. We should all be millionaires. Rodney, 5.441 million each. That's like a communist state, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
If one earns a lot, he's got to share it out between everyone. Well, he does, isn't it? By providing work and salaries and shit like that, hourly pay. Remember, the government gave out free handouts, COVID relief handouts, £300 here and there during the lockdowns and just
Yeah.
after the lockdowns, and they're still giving it now during the crisis.
The energy thing.
The
The money.
energy, exactly, yeah. If you all benefit holders say no to this money, we wouldn't be in as much debt as we are in right now. Instead of it being 3 trillion, we'd only be in 1.8 trillion in debt. It was 1.5 trillion debt before the pandemic, and then it went up to 3 trillion something in debt up to now.
That's half of the problem with the political system that we got. We don't really get a say in what's going on, and we don't even know what's going on until like a few sort of years afterwards.
Yeah. It's like the secret documents, the classified documents. You only get to see it once every 70 years or something like that. 50 years, 70 years. They release it to the public. They do this behind our backs so that they can build up the statistics, and then they say what's going on with the statistics. What was it harsh about Batman? Age, what was harsh about?
I don't know. Bit harsh. You want to tax the poor more.
No, benefits reduced. No, Batman. I'm talking about the COVID relief handouts, the £300 payments that people got, the one-off £300 payments. They got like 3 of them or 4 of them during the lockdown each year, and then the energy crisis. I think everyone already got 1 or 2 payments of £300 or £500. But if people didn't, I'm saying if they didn't take it, then the country wouldn't be in as much debt as it is. It was 1.5 trillion before the lockdown, and now it's over 3 trillion. Most of the money spent on refugees and asylum seekers go towards providing food and shelter. In 2022, the UK government announced it would reduce spending in that department because of the pandemic. The UK spent £3.7 billion, or 29% of its aid budget, supporting refugees in the UK in 2022. Yeah. It's a mad cost, isn't it? 3.7 billion of the budget aid, 29% of the budget aid in 2022. Maybe Deborah Hart was supposed to put 3,700 million taxpayers' money. Yeah, guys, the link is there if anyone wants to join. Anyone that's experienced having to seek refuge in another country or this country, United Kingdom, tell us your experience. Or if you was born in the country and you have a problem with the asylum and refuge system in your country, come up and we'll listen to you and give our opinions. All friendly chat, don't worry. No talking
There's
over
like
each other.
there's a couple of years ago when I went to Portugal. There's like this place. It's like a house, and refugees go there. I think there's only a space for like 50 or so, but they can grow food and then they sell it in the shop to like locals.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
pretty. What about stuff like that? Maybe they could start like, I don't know, because I feel like we've got all these humans, even British people are on benefits. That
Yeah.
could work. We've got all these humans just not doing much, and then there's a lot of things that could be done, like growing food, maybe filling in the potholes.
That's it, exactly.
So many things that could be done. And you could set up a shop like I don't know, like a farm shop or a cafe shop, where you have all immigrants working there. Obviously, they'd have to be vetted for like that they're not murderers or something. Like you have open prisons where you can go and work. You can go and work for the day. They could do something like that for immigrants, maybe.
Yeah.
Where they have to go back to their hotel at night or something.
Like an agency. They're building a building and they need people to work daily. So every day you go back to work, just for that building. Once it's finished, then that's it. No more work until the next project. Mickey, agent says, they talk about our homeless, but then you ask what they're personally doing for our homeless, and it's sweet as anything. Well, exactly. HK said it earlier. It's the charities that deal with all the homeless. But the charities, let me put the disclaimer up now, guys. I don't know, we're mad, remember, don't believe a word we say. The charities, they're scumbags. And they take most of the
There
money.
are some good ones, like churches and that, do it out of the goodness of their heart as well. It's not just like the big charities that pay their fucking board like 50 grand a week salaries and shit. Bonuses every year.
Churches?
Huh?
Churches?
Yeah, there's a lot of churches that like help homeless people.
Churches and mosques.
There's a few in Brighton. Yeah, mosques as well probably do it.
Yeah.
The Good Samaritans maybe. But I don't know. Someone would have to correct me. Is there a government program that provides? Is that I don't know.
The churches help.
Well,
the
there is.
community,
Yeah, of course
the
there is.
Christian community. Yeah, obviously
There's
every
loads of
religion.
programs, but to try and get people out of homelessness, but there's no sort of available places for them to live, like single people mainly. It's hard if you become homeless. In the UK, definitely, I reckon.
I think we need to build a system for the homeless, get them to work, get them off their addictions, actually do it, but us as well, the human race, we were speaking about the human race last week. We're so lazy, we see a homeless guy there, we give him a few pounds, we're earning thousands of pounds a year. Why can't we give him just thousands of pounds, help him out with a house, some rent money, room. But we don't, if we all chip in, like Deborah Hart is saying, the billions of pounds that these people make, while if they divide it between everybody, we'll get this so much money. If we all chipped in a bit of money, we could completely eradicate homelessness in the UK if we all chipped in the £10 or even £100. 60 million of us, £100. What's that? 60, 600. That's 6 billion. I think that's enough to sort out the homelessness. If it was,
I don't know how much. It don't really matter how much money you throw at it. It's like the whole program and system and net in place to protect all these people and asylum seekers and that. Because I don't know. But I don't think they'd ever want to do that because there's no money in it for Serco and those companies, like,
Well, that's it.
and
Well,
I don't know, and also they want a certain amount. They know that a certain amount will be educated and be able to speak English, and they could probably want to be a doctor or something. So they know that there'll be a certain amount of these people eventually, after I don't know, 5 years, that will be able to do these sort of jobs, and that's a bonus to the government, I suppose, and their statistics. But it won't be many. Depends what country they're from, though, I suppose. Maybe that's another thing that needs to change in the world, is like all countries need to have a certain standard of education, because the reason they're fleeing these countries, a lot of them, is because there's no jobs or they can't speak a certain language, or I don't know.
yeah.
It's just poor in their area. I suppose education could change that. Well, it wouldn't change it, but it could help.
Daniel Finch says, put them in makeshift camps, especially single men. They'll soon change their minds. They'll turn back. They'll be like, where's my boat? Give it to me now. Oh, you disposed it. Oh, now what?
Yeah, I suppose, but that will just keep it forever a profit for like the Conservatives and their mates and Serco and all that. Forever going. If you're just throwing them in camps, put them in hotels. It's just going to continue on for years and years and years. And then there's going to be another war that happens, and there's going to be another natural disaster that happens, and then they're going to come. So it's, I don't know, something needs to change, I suppose, in a way that benefits everyone.
I heard in 50 years' time, if I'm still alive, that hopefully that's my lifetime. That the UK, London especially, will be underwater. Would that mean we would have to find refuge in other countries, higher up countries, like Scotland or Ireland or something?
Maybe, or let's say as a scenario, let's say a lot of England is flooded and that, and is under the sea, then yeah, we'd all start moving up. I live at the top of a hill, and there's like a massive woods that goes for miles and miles, and I reckon people would be refugees in them woods if it ever got to a scenario like that. But
yeah,
I don't know, I doubt it. Not in my lifetime, anyway.
I don't
Maybe in
know.
a few 100 years.
Oh, less
Could
than that.
flood. You never know, though. Don't know what's going to
Global
happen.
warming. We'll speak about this soon. Climate change and all of that stuff. But with the polar caps, 3 Olympic swimming pools of ice is melted every day. Melts every day in the on the poles. Every single day, 3 Olympic size pools worth of ice melts. So imagine
And
50
then
years.
countries like Bangladesh, that's where they're affected, because they haven't got the money to build like we have in our ports. We've got concrete or wooden protected ports that protect the land, and we've got infrastructure. So is Holland, so is France, so is all these little countries.
Yeah.
Whereas like Bangladesh, they haven't. There's like overpopulation, and then they've got no sewage, and then they've got rivers like overflowing. It's just a constant mess in these poor countries, which is why they're, oh, what was it? I can't remember what it was called, but they want all these sort of developed countries to pay money to the developing countries to help them with climate change. It's like trillions of pounds. I can't remember how much. And it's every year, not like a one-off payment. That's like a UN, one of the UN's things for the Agenda 2030, I think, as well.
That's how you grab them by the balls, you know.
So even if they're not coming to our country anymore, we'll still be paying taxes via some other way to help them in their countries because we've polluted. I don't know. We're polluting their country by buying their products or whatever. Or we send a lot of our recycled like plastic over to Asia, and then we'll pay them in money, and then all that money gets siphoned off like by corrupt people. So then their rivers never get sorted out, and then it just floods, and then they become refugees and come to the UK. It's like a cycle, isn't it?
We've got a guest at the back. Age, please don't take the poster off. We'll let him on. Hello.
Hello, my friends. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my friends. I want to thank you for allowing me to come to your country. Not all of us are bad people that come to your country illegally.
Oh yeah, I know this. Yeah.
I came to Dover and I was greeted with the border force peoples, and they gave me pizza. And I want to say that your hospitality is very good, and I appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for letting my brothers come here too. And I want to thank you for letting us be British peoples.
Thank you for coming here, man. And
I appreciate it, my son.
are you now contributing? Are you now a taxpayer as well? You're in the system.
No, no, I'm not.
Not
But no, I
you
won't
will
be.
soon.
No, this is our country too. You don't own it. We welcome here because it's a free world. But I want to
Which
thank you.
country you come from?
I don't need to tell you that, but I want to thank you for letting me come here. It was a wonderful trip over to Dover to meet the peoples, and the border force were very nice and greeted us with food. And I'm in a hotel, and I want to say thank you to your country for letting us come here. I believe that we should all get brothers and sisters, get on well in like a family. One world is family.
Yes, I agree. We're all human. We're all from the same planet. I don't
Yes.
see why we can't move around freely. Last week we spoke about how useless the human race was, and this week we're
In my
talking
country.
about what's that?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I said that in our country we believe that it's all one family, and we don't want to say one's useless. But I just like this country is very nice. Everyone welcome us, and the old people, the people that give the protesting. They say welcome, the refugees, welcome here, and they're very friendly to me. And I just want to say thank you. I love this place. Everything's free to me. I get free food, free drink, everything is free, and I just think it's great, and I inspire more. I want more people to come to this country. So thank you. I just want to say thank you, and I'll go now. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, man.
Goodbye.
Thanks for jumping on.
One love.
Yeah, one love. Hello to him. Welcome to the country, the Dovians. Dovarians, fantastic job.
So do you reckon there's any any people from the UK, I don't know, like Remainers that have gone to Europe to seek sort of asylum in Europe from the UK? I wonder if there is. I bet there is. It's got to be.
There is good-hearted people also. People know the difference between right and wrong, but
Yeah. Probably most of them, a lot of them do. But there's probably some that let it a few down, isn't it? A couple that let
yeah.
everyone down.
And me, if I saw a family coming over, okay, I'll get the pizzas ready. But if I see like just men and if they dressed up in a certain way, that looks like that looks suspicious. Maybe I won't bring the pizzas and just bottle of cokes.
Pizzas at Dover. Probably did. Might have to open a pizza shop around Dover. No, I'm joking.
I don't know, man. If you see
Dover's
pregnancy,
another town where the high street's completely empty. Like, not many shops, big name brands anymore. All gone.
see the good people are allowed to be at the beaches. The people against are behind the barriers.
Or the ones that make it through. I imagine walking halfway up Africa through war zones, and then you've got to break through into that Spanish territory, or get over the Mediterranean. Then you've got to travel up through Spain. Then you've got to travel up through
Yeah.
France.
Right.
Then you got to somehow get over to France, over to the UK.
Mm.
And then once you get there, you got to stay in hotels for God knows how many months. And it must take them years, like. But then there'll be some of them that will, I don't know, just fly over here. Can you just fly over and say you're on holiday or something, and then
Right.
never go back? Or do they need? They'd probably need like visas, wouldn't they? Certain countries.
Well,
Yeah, you
if the
would.
guy was genuine or not, if the guy was genuine, speaking the truth here, and saying what he said was completely what he said, and he was saying, or let's say for a second that guest was genuine, and he was greeted. He came over to the UK, and he was got off at Dover and was greeted with pizzas and drinks and a house and a safety and all of that stuff. Let's say that all happened. He said that it's all free and I like it and health. But the question what I was gonna ask if he was being genuine was but how long would that last? You know, would you think about then maybe applying to get citizenship and then become a taxpayer?
Can't be a quick process.
Well, obviously not. You know, trauma takes time, about 6 months to a year, and then get yourself back together, and then the support should be there for when you're ready to face the world again.
So what country would you like to go to? If you could just turn
Well,
up and go, yeah, I want to live here. I'm going to live in like a beach house or something. Which country would you
well,
like to go?
I'm an immigrant, but then again, I was born in this country. So do I call
Yeah.
myself an immigrant, or do I call myself a person from this country? Maybe Deborah Hart. Deborah Hart can answer this. Do I call myself an immigrant because I was my family, my mum and dad that are from a different country, but me, I was born in this country, and I've got more English than I have the other language. I don't know how to read and write the other language, but I went to school in this country, so I did all the tests in this country. Yeah. So, do I call myself a citizen of this country, or do I call myself an immigrant in this country?
Well, that's why I've always said like Boris Johnson's American because he was born in New York.
Yeah.
So I
But
don't know. I reckon you was born here, so definitely.
he was born on the British territory, so it's fine.
Yeah. My dad was born in British territory, but not in England. So that would make him like a, I don't know. No, it wouldn't. Because it was Northern Ireland. And Ireland, I don't know. Like I said at the start, everyone here is like an immigrant, whether it's 1 or 10 or 20 generations. This is one of them countries where there's always been like people traveling to and moving around, and like first it was the it was the Romans, and then the Vikings and the Danish and the French and the Germanic tribes. There's so many like influences and people that moved here.
Here we go, Deborah Hart. Maybe you want to read the comment, Deborah Hart, the one highlighted.
Yeah, I wonder when they started like creating borders and stop people from, freely moving around. It's probably, I don't know, thousands of years ago.
But then Timmy
Then modern day
Bobbington says, I would say you are insert ethnicity, born and living in London, England.
I'd say for like hundreds and hundreds of years, up until 100 years ago, the village or the county you were born in, you never left it really, because There was no roads to go anywhere. It was all forests and woods and so you could say we brought it on ourselves. We created all this like internationalism and moving around the globe, and then now the globe wants to move around in our country.
Yeah. That's how it is, you know. Thousands of years ago, there was no British here.
So I like what do they call them? Like blocks, like the United Kingdom and the EU and all these things. They're just stupid because they're just stopping people from moving around. It's like protectionism, isn't it, over all their resources and.
King Dale Clark says, "Have you noticed all security guards are foreigners?" That's because you're going to the same place.
A lot of English people don't want to work them sort of jobs. Or those security firms are like cheaper because they're foreign.
No,
Possibly.
when I worked in
Maybe.
Lidl's, our security firm was a Nepali security firm, so they hired Nepali people,
A what? Oh yeah, Nepalese.
Nepalese people, yeah. And you'd think a security guard is like big, ready to tackle and throw people out, you know, with just their arms, just throw them out through the door. But no, Nepalese people, they're small.
Token says no one want to do the jobs. Then the British folk moan that they're taking our jobs. It's true, though, isn't it? Yeah. Because nowadays you can just ring up the what is it called, Universal Credit, and just I don't know, say that you identify as a cat and I can't work. Fuck knows what you can do.
And the fraudulent people as well, they're making things worse. The people that can work but are not working and claiming benefits, and the people that are claiming the benefits and saying they can't work, but they're doing a side hustle.
Yeah, I see that as well. Each to their own, I suppose. It's the system that needs to change. The whole thing, like, not. You can't sit here and moan about individuals because they're just people are just taking any opportunity they can to get money, I suppose. Some people are not capable of getting jobs. Like they're able to work, but I don't know, they're just not that smart. So there's so many different scenarios you could think of why people haven't got jobs, or and then asylum and refugees or foreigners are taking all the jobs because they're just there. Why not? Why would they not?
The amount of work that's available in the UK is more than the numbers of the population. So then obviously we'll need more people to work from other countries to fill those positions.
But they're all kind of jobs that I don't know, you don't see. Like there's office jobs and there's hospitality, and there's loads of sort of jobs like that that are available, and there's thousands of jobs going for that. But then there's like the whole farming industry. There's like so many jobs going, but how would you get a job like that? I don't know. You have to go down the farm and meet the farmer.
Deborah says AI will take the jobs. Well, if you're so against the AI, then let the humans take the jobs.
And don't forget about the skilled worker visa programs many immigrants apply for. What do you mean by that, Mr. Tolkien? Don't forget about the skilled worker visa programs. Many immigrants. Oh, like when, say you're from another country and you apply for a job and you get it, and then when you move over to another country, sort of thing. Is that what you mean? I think. Like visa programs to get somewhere, I don't know, like Australia, you have to have a certain amount of money in your bank and a job to go to.
DeWitt, he says, they say work pays, but a big percentage of people on benefits are actually working, but poorly paid and needing to claim. Zero-hour contracts should be illegal. Imagine 0-hour contract. That means when you book holiday, they're not paid anything. They're worth zero because you're contracted 0 hours, so they can pay you up to 0 hours a month holiday. When I joined Iceland, they wanted me to go on a 0-hour contract. I managed to get 7.5-hour contract out of them. I was doing 40 hours a week, because that's how much I was doing on my last job. So I needed that to be comfortable. So they gave that to me, but they wanted me to sign this 0-hour contract. and I squeezed 7.5 hour contract out of them. So then when I took holiday, I was only getting paid 7.5 hour week holiday.
Yeah, should be banned. Yeah. What I've noticed over the last few years is the infrastructure that they've been building, like all these sort of I don't know, smart cities and like university campuses and shit like that. It's all just feeding all these zero contract hours. There's so many of them, like, because they know that all these people are not going to be staying for like these jobs for long. So they just employ all these uni students or like young kids on zero contract hours and that.
I don't understand why when refugees and asylums find refuge in a country, they're not allowed to start working and become taxpayers straight away. And the minimum wait is like 5 years before they can become permanent citizens or apply for any sort of visas or anything like that, or passport, visas, whatever. Like to become a legal citizen, temporary or permanent. Why can't they just
But if
work straight away?
why can't they what?
Why can't they just work straight away?
Yeah, don't know. A number of reasons, I suppose.
Mattis is back. Hello. Says I'm a plasterer. So it's skipped likely. Robots can only do big flat walls and there's more hassle than it's worth. So we safe for now. Okay. Imagine a robot arm just wow, just plastering a wall. Plaster splatters out from a hose
All the
pipe.
whole 3D printed houses you get now, like
Them as well.
just build them now.
Soon, instead of having the rest of the house built by humans, it's going to be replaced by robots.
I'll
Have
be
a
years
hammer
away.
hand and a screwdriver hand. Like at my workplace, they're getting rid of the robots, and they're gonna they're old now, so they're ripping them out and they're making everything manual. So they're gonna need to hire 2 extra people to take the bread off the line, the stacks of bread instead of the robot doing it. I think that's a plan for them to work out a plan on getting AI in and robots in. Make us all redundant and just use robots in our place. four robots there. All they need to do is take them off the line and push them down to the right allocated, designated area. And that's it. Like Amazon, most of their warehouses, the massive ones, and Tesla are all controlled by robots.
Yeah.
Like Tesla, they got the biggest, the widest, longest. If it was standing, it will be the tallest building in the world, the Tesla factory. It's like just over 1 mile long. Well, when you say AI, the internet is AI. What we use to use the internet.
Yeah, Token says Toyota just come out with new battery and their cars are fully charging in 10 minutes. Chinese as well, they're doing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
in 10 minutes. Imagine soon it'll be
But it'll
5
be
minutes.
quick. Yeah. Like, you remember the mobile phones, what they were like when they first come out? It's just like that with the cars, the electric cars and batteries at the
For
minute.
sure. Yeah.
It's just the first generation. Probably the same with cars as well. Everything goes through that. So what would you do if you was like the government for asylum?
What if I was government and had to deal with the asylum and refugees?
Yeah.
I would
You got to think about international law as well. Like you can't just.
well,
I don't know.
obviously I'll let them in on process, but I would build some sort of facility center, check them out, psychology, physically, mentally, run some tests, see if they're mentally stable, and they're not psychopaths or anything like that. And then if they're
And they
fine,
have to have a Neuralink. Neuralink. No, I'm joking.
yeah, that as well, and have a
And they
tag.
become cyborgs.
No, well, a transhumanism maybe, humanist maybe, with a chip in your hand, or maybe not your hand, your brain or something, somewhere where they can't just rip it out. Like your hand, they'll be able to rip it out of their hand, obviously,
But that would be just like the Jews with the tattoos, and
Yeah.
in the camps. A bit similar to that.
Well,
You can't stop.
I'll chip everyone. That will be the policy for immigrants. It will start with the immigrants, and then eventually, once the chip,
And then none of them would come. That's it. Boom.
yeah,
It'd be finished overnight. I think you just found it. Locals found how to stop immigration overnight. I'm joking.
no, I think more people will come if they were told, just accept a chip in your head, and yeah,
Doing cat.
you can come in and become a taxpayer. Fantastic. There will be millions of people coming. every year, not hundreds of thousands. Exactly, Deborah Hart. Another excuse to chip the population. Yep. Well, we can't stop it. Well, the only way we can stop it is by saying no. But our no's isn't enough to stop it for the population. So you just might as well go along with it. Go along with the madness.
Biometrics. Yeah, fingerprints. Definitely, they probably have. Definitely. Handprint. How many in the country each year?
See, that is true. You give all your information to the government that you want to seek asylum and refuge at. That's why at the protests, I didn't want to get arrested so that they can take my eye prints and then they can take my fingerprints and then they can take a photo of me on each side and then my straight, my back, my sides. What else? Description, record, stick a criminal record on there for protesting. Yeah, who wants that? Fuck that. Rather not get arrested than go through that process.
What about if they built built a massive oil rig at sea, and that was like the detention center or whatever?
What? Oil rig?
Like a big, oil rig at sea in the middle of the British Channel, or between France and England, and they did the process in there. That's been mentioned before.
Oh, is it? Wow.
And you could have
Well
like
done.
a few of like ships like parked up next to it or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe. That'd be a bit dangerous maybe if it got rough seas.
Unused oil rigs, yeah.
But then that's more money to spend when there's resources here already that could be utilized.
Well, we haven't got the resources. We've got the money.
I don't know, there's loads of like buildings across the UK just empty. or lands that could be, I don't know, do they call it land reform, where you could use the land for certain things like growing food and building permanent housing for for asylum seekers and that. Fuck knows,
They
build them a
haven't.
town, man. Instead of spending £10 million a day on just giving it to Serco and these hotels, why not just build them a fucking little town somewhere? Or stop
If,
them. That's it.
if everyone was to give the homeless £10 out of their pockets, there'll be no more homeless people in the streets. They would all be able to afford going to a hotel or renting a little place. If everyone gave £10 a week for a whole year to a homeless person, everybody. So that same person will be getting £10 from, let's say, 100 people from the community every week on a homeless person. But
That's all about like opening more buildings to homeless people, I suppose, and doing them up.
all the charities are not doing a good job. Let's do it ourselves. But we're not going to, because we're the human race, the laziest race in the universe.
A lot of islands available. All you need is enough people. We could build an asylum island for them, a permanent one, so that the ones that are granted could then move to England, and then the ones that are not granted go back to their country or something.
I heard that we're gonna start building boats to house them on. I think that's a really good idea. There's more
Does it
water.
cost so much money to like run a boat? That's why.
No, you just float, make it float, and that's it.
Well, I
There's a
suppose,
big
yeah, you're not moving it about, are you?
tsunami.
Thinking about it.
What happens out at sea happens on land as well, with tornadoes.
But you don't want loads of floating boats around.
Lucid Moment 71 says we have 2 floating cities. They hold 500 each. So imagine holding 50,000 each or 100,000 each. They won't even need to step on land. They'll go straight there.
Yeah, we need 100 of those barges. Probably more. So I don't think barges is the solution when there's buildings, or there's even hotels. That's why they're using hotels. But I think they should open all these hotels back to like tourism again. Get that up and running, and then build like a permanent place for asylum.
Slavery has never gone away. Now we all being enslaved again. Hello, Sir Drama. Good evening, Sir Drama. How are you
Maybe
doing?
just change his name wherever you are, I suppose, or whatever era you were born in. Like we're all economic slaves, I suppose. Slave to the government's whim.
Yes, if anybody wants to jump on the panel, more than happy to welcome you on. Yeah. Sir Drama says, would you say come to wherever, just come legally? Just come legally, man. So what if you got a war and you're getting bombed to pieces? Don't run away, just stay there and go through the process of getting a visa and doing it all legal, doing it the legal way before you come. Make sure you go through airport security as well, so you don't bring anything that you shouldn't.
And some people have said, why don't the Middle East help? Like, you know, like Saudi Arabia and all these oil-rich countries. Why don't they help with immigration? I don't know if they take much in, but it seems that they all want to come to England, but why can't they? Personally, I'd want to stay in a rich, like, warm country if I was from a warm country. I just wouldn't want to go to cold England when no one wants you.
Yes, and we've been on for 2 hours now.
2 hours. Yeah. Another long old discussion. So many things you could talk about, like.
Yes, Deborah Hart, the new city. I can't wait for the wall to be built here in London so that I myself can experience what it's like to live in the wall. Yes. Instead of having everything within 15 minutes, I'll have everything within 2 minutes of me. Imagine that, having 2 minutes, being 2 minutes away from all your essentials. What you need to live a life to 100 years old. if I got the chance to work, earn my money, and do what I'm doing now in the wall, then it's kushti. Why not do it? But I don't know. I don't know. All I know that the disclaimer says we're all mad. Don't believe a word we say.
Yeah, man, we've covered everything, haven't we? Really, I suppose. Well, like I said a minute ago, we could talk about loads of little things about it, but I think we've covered mostly on this list.
Yeah, I think we have as well. Oh, cats are biting.
Easy
Yes,
came
and
on.
we keep every stream up.
What's this, like the 23rd?
I think this is the 23rd, yeah.
We'll get to 1,000.
I want to talk about other problems with society, like ego and greed.
There's millions.
Huh?
There's so many things you can talk about societies and humans, and like you said, ego and greed. But isn't that the way the system's been like designed to keep people in that loop?
Hello, Gregory. Neom luxury island to house 65,000 people. When are they gonna build a building, a floating city that can house 1,000,000?
At the end of it, aren't they? They're building that at the end of the line. I forget the name of the city, but a floating city.
Neom to be completed by 2030. I have to check out this Neom.
Did you know that Turkey hosts the largest number of refugees in the world?
Yeah,
3.6. Yeah, it's
maybe.
basically like a country where everyone passes through, isn't it?
Yeah,
More than like Colombia and Mexico. That is. You still there?
Yeah, I was just looking at this the line current construction pictures, but there isn't really. No, there isn't any. Well, it'll be good. It'll be good. Imagine there'll be
What's
so
that?
much greenery everywhere.
Where?
If everyone has, if everyone builds the line in their countries, there'll be so much greenery everywhere.
And the way you build it in the UK. Well, folks, I'm high as a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. All right, what should we end it there?
Yeah, if you want, man.
All right, man.
We ain't got much more to say, have we? I suppose
Yeah.
we've done it.
That's it. I
We've
think
done
we covered
everything.
everything. Do you have any guests? No, no guests. All right then.
It's been good chatting again.
Yeah. Next week, we'll go back to Sunday next week.
Yeah.
Because I'll start work on Monday. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you all again next week. This time on Sunday at 9:15. Thanks to everybody for joining and taking part in the discussion of asylums and refugees. Age case, any last words?
It's been good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't got
Thank
many
you to the
last words this time.
the Independent Free Press jumped on, and the Immigrant jumped on. His name was Immigrant. They put up, so I can only go by that name. Thank you guys for jumping on. And yeah, do you know the any hints on next week's topic?
No idea, man. We'll have to think about it. I don't know. See what we come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then.
Take it easy, man.
fantastic, everybody. So we'll see you again Sunday at 9:15. Take care. Love you all and see you all soon.